Welcome. Thank you for being here today. I'm Deborah Grenard. We're going to talk about the food body spirit connection. And I'm going to take a cue from Angela from earlier today and start with a personal story because this might put it into context and make a bit more sense for you. Um, so I grew up, my father was third generation French baker. I grew up in a small town south of Houston on the Texas coast and back there now with my father. There's nothing vegan in this area. It's not a health conscious space. It's actually quite the opposite. It's one of those towns, kind of like what's featured in the documentary They're Trying to Kill Us. So, but I grew up eating, consuming mass quantities of refined foods, sugar, fats, lots of meats and dairy. Though I have to admit, I really never was crazy about meat, but all of the spices and fats and fried things and everything that went along with it made it desirable, right? Well, fast forward. So when I was in college, I had hypoglycemia, I had fibrocystic disease, and these were things I thought, you just live with it, you get it, you live with it, you learn how to manage it, right? And I was doing all the the minimum things to manage it, but I was still going out partying, eating the 2-for-1 chicken fried steaks with the mashed potatoes and chasing it down with beer, and just really just living the life, right? The cheap food college kid life. And when I was in my senior year of college, I was working for a bank. And one bright, sunny Friday afternoon, I was out on the route. We had like 25, 30 ATM units that we serviced. And I was out on the route. And we got to one of the units, and there was someone there waiting for us. He had done this before. He was an escaped convict. He had quite the record, but he was there waiting for us with a gun, sawed off shotgun. And I ended up being the person that got that gun cocked right in my back, right here. And it was quite a traumatic experience, as you might imagine. I was the human shield during a bank robbery. And at the time, I remember feeling like he got the money, he got away, like the song says. And I was grateful. I was grateful that no one got hurt. I was just, feeling just filled with gratitude. I was okay. Everybody was okay. He was on his way. A week later, he robbed a credit union. And in this one, he didn't get away. He took hostages. He killed people. He killed a police officer. And then after a long chase, he was killed. And, during this time, I was just kind of going through the motions of processing all of this stuff that had happened, thinking, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. About a month later, I started having back spasms. I started getting really sick. I was having internal bleeding. It was my entire intestines just became a big mess. I went to a doctor and saw a doctor. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Now like I said, I'd had these manageable chronic diseases, uncurable, so they said, of the fibrocystic disease and the hypoglycemia. Add on the ulcerative colitis. To me, it wasn't manageable. But I went to the doctor. This is what he said. He said, well, people your age get that sometimes. You're about at that age where people get it. Once you get it, you have it. There's nothing that you can do. It's chronic. You just have to live with it, have to learn to manage it. Here's this prescription for steroids, right? Take these steroids for the rest of your life and stay away from fiber. No more raw fruits, no more raw vegetables. It's white bread, not wheat bread, potato soup, things like that, things that won't irritate your colon. Well, okay. I think somehow embedded in me, I had some knowledge of nutrition. And to me, this felt like a death sentence. And make no mistake, it really is a death sentence. If you do that, if you have ulcerative colitis and you do that, it is a death sentence. But somehow I tried it for a little while, right? I went along with what I was supposed to be doing. And eventually a light bulb went off, thank God. And I thought, you know what? This is no way to live. If I continue with this, I'm going to die. And um, so I thought, well, all right, I got to do something. But the medical system was not giving me the answers. They, in their book, in their playbook, they didn't have the answers. It didn't mean that the answers didn't exist and the answers aren't out there. It's one thing I like to share with people is just because the people that you go to say this is incurable and there's nothing that you can do about it, doesn't mean that in the big scheme of things that somewhere out there the answer is not there. It's just in their playbook. That's their answer. There are many other playbooks out there that exist. Keep looking until you find it. And the best thing is to look within and to learn to connect with your own body and listen to your body. Because all the, our bodies have such incredible wisdom that they know what we need in order to heal, and they can guide us there. So that's where I'm going to get to with this food body spirit connection. Eventually, this light bulb came on for me. I said, there's no way that I can live this way. And I started seeking. And I first found natural hygiene, the Fit for Life books, the Awakening Your Self-Healing Body, the God's Way to Ultimate Health, and all of these books. And I started cleansing and juicing and really like cleaning out my body. I gave my body and my digestive system a full retreat and just packed it full of nutrient dense juices without like let it rest so it didn't have to work for it, and just packed it full of juices. And within like 7 to 10 days, not only was the ulcerative colitis gone for good, so was the hypoglycemia, so was the fibrocystic disease, everything gone. And it's been like what, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago since that happened, and it's never come back. So in the process of this incredible cleansing, what I recognized was I had no idea I had been in a brain fog food coma for my entire life, but suddenly everything cleared. I had just like so much energy, so much mental clarity, so much this like a whole world opened up that I didn't know existed. It's like I had been enclosed in this fog for my whole life and in this just like moving through sludge, and I didn't even know it. But after having done that, it was an incredible, incredible new world awakening. I came to veganism, obviously, apparently through health, and a whole new world opened up at that point. I continued to seek, I continued to find information, I continued to learn, and everything else followed from there. So the question that I had for Silesh when I met him shortly after I'd been gone away from my small town in Texas for like 36 years. I came back here about 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, to take care of my father, who's now 100 years old. And coming back here, I recognize there's nothing vegan, nothing health in this area. Like I said, it is an area like in the movie They're Trying to Kill Us. If you haven't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. And there are a lot of people living in with domestic violence, with drug abuse, with extreme poverty. And my question was, how do you speak to people like this about veganism when their lives are trauma, like dominated by trauma on a daily basis, and being around the children and the schools? It's like, how do you, right? And really, that's the story of the food body spirit connection. So I'm going to jump now to a PowerPoint. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share with you that story. Okay. You guys see that okay? Okay.
Yeah, we see it fine. Thanks.
All right, great. So food body spirit connection. So I want to share some statistics on trauma, eating, and obesity and health related issues. So in looking up, because I started after my own issues, my own healing journey, right? My own healing journey actually led me to a very long spiritual um, journey. I studied with a spiritual teacher for 20 years and did just a lot of healing, a lot of cleansing, a lot of uh, uh, healing the trauma, because that was one of the things that I recognized is I still had to get, once I got my body in order, I could still feel that gun in my back, and I could still feel like it was just right on the verge of exploding. Even though I had cleansed my body and healed my body physically, I could still feel that energy ready to explode. So I started looking at healing trauma and got really deep into the realm of spiritual healing, metaphysics, spirituality, and all of that. So some statistics on trauma. There's a study called the ACE study. You guys heard of the ACE study? Anybody familiar with the ACE study? If you're familiar with trauma and trauma research, it was one of the biggest studies done where they followed people over a period of time and surveyed people over a number of adverse childhood experiences. That's what ACE stands for. And these are trauma-related experiences that we can have in our childhood, whether it's abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, death of parents, living in households with addiction and with suicide and, and things of that nature. And they found that 1 in 6 adults at this time have experienced at least 4 adverse childhood experiences, childhood trauma. Unresolved, and this is according to these are all statistics right off the website. According to the National Eating Disorder Association, unresolved trauma or PTSD plays an important role, an important perpetuating factor in the maintenance of symptoms of eating disorders, including the binge eating, compulsive eating, and those kind of unconscious eating that we can tend to do. In much the same way abuse of certain substances is used to self-medicate, binge eating and or purging appears to be behaviors that facilitate reducing the hyperarousal or anxiety associated with trauma, the numbing, avoidance, or even forgetting of traumatic experiences. And I had to update, I have not taught this thing since 2017. I had to update my statistics. Obesity used to be in 2017, 30% or 1 in 3. Now it's up to, since our, I don't know if it has to do specifically with our COVID experience and our being at home with COVID, but probably has some factor there. But the 41.9%, that is pretty darn high, right? So there is a, a documented and proven connection between our trauma experiences and our relationship to food. So our human journey is, I mean, we come here as, and this is speaking of my beliefs and what I really feel in my being experientially. Our human journey is about coming here as pure beings, knowing the truth of who we are and what we are and why we're here and what this world is about. But we quickly forget. And in our lifetime, we experience minor traumas and major traumas. And these traumas are designed by divine design to separate us from ourselves, separate us from our true selves, our incredible spiritual beings that we are. And thank you, BJ. And we forget who and what we are. We forget why we're here. We forget what this world is about, what this life is about, what this human journey is about. We lose connection with our spiritual selves, right? The spiritual beings that we are. And we lose connection with our bodies because traumas will often have us, bound out of our bodies, disconnect from our bodies so that we don't have to feel the fear and we don't have to feel the pain that we don't know what to do with and we're not equipped to do with in the time that we're experiencing it, right? Our healing journey, our returning journey is about learning what to do with these things. But at the time that we experience them, they are what they are, and we pop out of our bodies. We forget who we are. We lose connection, and we develop coping strategies and defense mechanisms and things like that that help us to survive in the outer world, but we lose connection with the inner. And this leaves us feeling fragmented, not whole. It leaves us feeling not complete, incomplete, not enough, and always needing more. That feeling of there's something missing. I am not complete. I am not whole. I am fragmented. And because we're out of our bodies and disconnected from our spirits, we're reaching for it outside of ourselves, right? So we reach for food and we reach for the air quotes comfort foods. We reach for foods to help us to reconnect, to feel, to nurture, to pacify, to soothe ourselves. We reach for food to help us to ground ourselves, to connect to the earth, right? Which is what we truly, in a subconscious way, are desiring to do because we are beings of the earth. Our bodies are made to the earth from the elements of the earth. We're meant to feel that and experience that and feel that presence in our bodies and our connection to the earth through our presence in our bodies. We reach for food to suppress our emotions, right? Because they come up and it's uncomfortable. We want to rebound out of our bodies, but we use that food to just shove them back down, shove those emotions back down, bury them, distract ourselves, and disconnect again, right? And then food can also become something that is just rote. It's a scheduled thing, it's a habitual thing, it's an unconscious thing because it's what we're supposed to do on this schedule, right? Again, not connected to our bodies, not listening to our bodies, feeding our bodies a lot of stuff that our body doesn't even need and doesn't even want, but it's a habit that we have developed. And we also reach for food to celebrate and reward ourselves. right? Which leads us to that reward addiction cycle of all that greasy fat foods and the sugar foods, right? That fat, sugar, salt combo that is the perfect combo to light up the pleasure center in the brain, right? And there's that numbness and brain fog, right? It keeps us in that cycle of the numbness, the brain fog, so that we don't have to sense and feel. And it lights up that pleasure center in the brain, which keeps us on that cycle, right? And the foods are engineered by design to keep us hooked so that we'll buy more, so that we'll consume more. And it keeps us on that cycle of putting a bunch of junk into our bodies, makes us sick, but we need more and more and more because we're further disconnecting from our feelings, we're further disconnecting from our bodies, we're further disconnecting from our spirits. And we're using food as a way to do that because it works, right? It's engineered. The processed foods, so many of the foods that we have been programmed to believe that we need are engineered to keep us numb, foggy, and addicted, right? So in any case, regardless of why, you may or may not be in the cycle. And hopefully I mean, I know I'm preaching a lot to the choir here, but hopefully there's somebody out there that maybe can benefit from this, or you can use this information to help someone else. But in any case, we're eating to nurture our emotional bodies rather than to nourish our physical bodies, right? So eating becomes, and this speaks to a lot to what Paige was saying about not being wasteful, but it it becomes an overconsumption of the planet's resources. It becomes a perpetuation of the detrimental food systems that are killing our planet and our animals and polluting our earth, right? It becomes harmful to the animals in the planet. It's an overtaxation on the body's systems, right? The body has incredible wisdom. It knows how to maintain itself. It knows how to heal itself. But when we overtax it, when we give it things that it cannot use, the body becomes a toxic waste dump. And the body has to manage toxicity instead of utilizing the nutrients that feed the body and support the body and give us the clear mind and the ability, like the alertness and the energy and the ability to maintain a calm and present and grounded and centered existence. So the food body spirit connection is all about bringing us home to our bodies, helping us to find connection, grounding, and centering, tuning into the heart's needs, tuning into the body's needs. And what I like to encourage people to ask themselves, when you feel yourself like in that feeling, let me pull this back so I can see your faces, that feeling of like, I'm wanting to eat. Maybe just because it's time to eat. It may be just because, um, there's something exciting going on, or, that feeling of I'm wanting to eat. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Especially if you start that self-talk and that judgment, that self-judgment that cycles in your head when you're wanting to eat something and you're looking for something and you don't know, you know, you're like judging yourself for it, like, oh, I really should be eating this, but, or why am I wanting this? What am I feeling? And then what do I need? This can be whether you're reaching for food, whether you're about to have a difficult conversation with somebody. This is a good series of questions to ask yourself anytime. What am I feeling? And what do I need? Thank you, Mary Ellen. What am I feeling? And what do I need? So let's take a minute now. I'll take us through a process to help us to connect in so that we can really bring love and appreciation to the body, the systems of the body, the organs of the body, the wisdom of the body, and connect with our bodies, food, and earth. So for those, and I think even the people here who know me don't know that before, you've known me as a caretaker all this time. Before caretaking it, I actually led a lot of programs, a series of programs on the food body spirit connection, helping us to connect in with all of the parts of our digestive system, from that initial part of us that says, wow, I want something, but I don't know what, like the initial inclination or desire, to the senses, the sense of smell, Smell can be your sense with the longest memory, right? That connects you to memories. And your taste buds, you have over 10,000 taste buds on your tongue. That food is meant to be pleasurable and desirable. We're wired for that. The thing is, we have been so conditioned and tricked. Most of us have been conditioned and tricked to this hyper palatable foods that overstimulate the senses and the reward center in the brain, that we feel like if we don't have something that is super spicy, that's hitting on all of those triggers that overstimulate the brain, that we're not getting satisfaction from our foods. But if you pull those things out of your diet and you start to really be present with the foods from the earth. It was Angela earlier that said, if it's not from the ground, put it down, I think is how she said it. If you start really picking up the foods from the earth and connecting deeply with your foods, your body's made from the same elements of the earth. And if you really can like start connecting with that and feeling on a deep level from inside yourself, that connection with the earth and that connection with the food, you're and you get that hyper palatable stuff out of your system. Your taste buds will start to love the foods, just plain foods in the way that they come from the earth. And suddenly they're so sweet and they're so yummy. They're so good, just as they are. You don't need to make them super spicy or anything, but our bodies in the divine design wisdom are meant to love the foods from the earth. So let's take a moment now and we'll go into that um, process, if you will. Let's just imagine us all in a circle, just coming together in a circle, being together here. And let's bring all of your senses, your focus and attention into the center of the circle. So we really come together, right? One of the things that we are searching for, especially if you struggle with addiction, especially if you struggle with PTSD and trauma, um, is a safe and loving connection. It's one of the basic things that we are really looking for when we're reaching for things like addictive foods or addictive substances or addictive behaviors, is that connection in a loving space where we can be safe to find our own presence and safety within our own skin. So as we bring our focus and attention to the center of the circle, just let yourself bring all of your senses, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, everything, just bring it facing toward the center. And just imagine this source of light, this incredible source of light and unconditional love and compassion. So imagine this just flooding the center of our circle with this incredible love, compassion, acceptance. Because we're all on a journey, and the journey is it brings us to exactly where we're supposed to be in any given moment. So there's no call to self-judgment here. There's no call to any kind of self-blame or anything like that, but just a call to love, appreciation, acceptance, and compassion. And let's just kind of synchronize our breaths, breathing together. And you can turn your heart center, right? Your heart is an incredible sensory organ. You have a funnel of energy that extends from the front of your heart space. Just bring that to face into the center of the circle as well and rest in this space of love and compassion. And just take some breaths into your heart center, letting your heart just be present and breathe in this pure light and unconditional love and compassion. Just breathe it into your heart center. And as you exhale, just release any of that clutter or tension from your heart space. And as you inhale, just absorb in this light and this unconditional love into your body, breathing it all the way into the center of your body. And as you exhale, let yourself drop down and land into your hips. Kind of lean back into the center of your body along your spine and drop down and land into your hips, the center in your pelvic bowl. If you remember that old commercial, the Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. They have that beautiful center of gravity right in the middle of their pelvic bowl. And you've got one too. So let yourself just land in that, about halfway front to back, halfway side to side in your belly, and just land into that space, lean back into your body, and breathe this light and love and compassion into your heart. And you've got like a ball of energy at the front of your belly space. Just let that ball of energy, invite that ball of energy to be present as is. Our culture, our society puts a lot of pressure on the belly to look a certain way, to feel a certain way, to act or perform in a certain way. And the belly is an incredible wisdom keeper. It is that, I call it the I am center of your body, right? When you really ground into your pelvic bowl, into your belly, is really where you come home. It's an incredible wisdom center, right? The grandmothers know this. It's like the home of the grandmother to rest into the hips, into the belly, and rest that belly and that pelvic floor, pelvic bowl into the earth and be the wisdom keeper for the family. So, all the grandmothers and grandfathers out there, let yourself really rest into that space and sit into your pelvic bowl, lean against your spine, and breathe that light and love and compassion into your heart. And I want to invite your belly. Now, if you're a person that ever feels unsafe in your belly or feels, like your belly's not what you want it to be, or, it's a place where we can hold a lot of emotions. The emotions get stored in the internal organs, those traumas, they get locked up in those organs. And those organs, they really need the space to breathe and to flow, right? They're meant to be in a rhythmic motion, to move in a rhythmic motion and to have their natural motility. But when we get stressed out or locked in trauma, we can bind them up and they don't move. And we disconnect from those places in the belly. So just let yourself bring some breath into your belly space. As you inhale, let your diaphragm move and let your belly move. And just kind of tune into your body, listen to your body, let it move however it wants, right? And if your belly is one that feels unsafe, you can just use your arms like you would cradle a baby and cradle your belly, right? Use your arms to cradle your belly and just hold it and rock it like a baby. Let your heart just kind of turn down and face your belly just like it would face your baby if you were holding a baby, and just love it. Give it love, give it compassion, give it complete and total acceptance. For any time that your belly has been told it needs to be a certain way that it's not, let that go, give it love and acceptance. For any time that your belly has been told it needs to perform or look or act any way that it's not, and really not even comfortable to be, not meant to be. Our society tells us a lot of things that further disconnect us from ourselves because it's so off. It's not what we were created to be. It's not what our bodies are here for. So just let that go and turn that heart of love and compassion, turn it to your belly, turn it to that inner child, that inner wisdom, that truth of who you are that rests in your body. Hold it and cradle it with your arms. Give it that nurturing love. Just wrap it up in that protective space and love it. And just let yourself have breath. And with each breath, just send more and more love into your belly space. And with each breath, inhale into the core of your body, that central channel of your body. And as you exhale, drop down, land into your hips, center in your pelvic bowl, cradle and love your belly. You can send love into your colon, right? Incredible wisdom of the colon, incredible wisdom of the colon. It's a significantly, very important part of the body. When we carry a lot of shame, it's one of those things we don't like to talk about, one of those taboo topics, but so important. If you've ever dealt with any kind of ulcerative colitis, you know that. So important. And it circles the whole abdominal cavity. It's like forms that barrier around the whole abdominal cavity. and the small intestines, which fill up that internal space, along with a lot of fluids, right? And just send love into the small intestine. Just loving those intestines. Also incredible wisdom in the small intestines. And as you're sending love, really just send an acknowledgement and a recognition for the incredible wisdom that your body holds. You don't have to tell your colon to eliminate the foods. You don't have to tell your colon to synthesize the B12 or any of the other things that your colon does. You don't have to tell the colon how to balance the microbiome. Your body knows how to do it, and your body does an incredible job of it, even when we're giving it foods that compromise, right? It has its built-in homeostasis. It knows what to do to try to keep things on track and balanced as much as possible. When it has dis-ease, right, it's just a sign that something's a little off that we need to course correct. But it's doing its best to keep us alive. And if it weren't doing that, we wouldn't have that onset of dis-ease. So what does your body need, right? What are you feeling? What do you need? Give that love and appreciation, the wisdom of your body. That love and appreciation, the wisdom, the innate wisdom of your body. And let's just move on up. That duodenum, right? That first part of the small intestine that comes out of the stomach. It's where your pancreas comes in and your bile duct comes into your intestinal tract. Your pancreas has all of those alkalizing minerals, right? Because your stomach's very acidic and it's meant to be. You need that acidity in your stomach, and the pancreas secretes all those alkalizing minerals into your duodenum where your food first leaves the stomach in a very acidic state, but it neutralizes that acid so that it doesn't burn up your small intestines, right? And that bile from your gallbladder comes into that same space, right? The incredible wisdom of your body. Kind of going backwards here, but that's okay. Just send it some love and appreciation. The pancreas also is responsible for regulating your blood sugar. It does the best it can, given the circumstances that it has, and it may be that some of the circumstances have been inherited, have been passed down genetically, that you're susceptible to different things. It may be from injury or surgeries or whatever that, but your body still has an incredible innate wisdom that keeps you alive and as healthy as it can, given the circumstances that it has to work with. So again, send that love and appreciation to the body, and just, you can use your hands to really hold it, connect with it, breathe into it, and invite these parts of yourself, because every part of your body carries consciousness, right? Just like it can hold tension and constriction and trauma and our energetics, our images and pictures and memories, right? The organs can hold all of those things. They also hold the innate wisdom. So bring that appreciation for the innate wisdom and just invite those places to be acknowledged, to be recognized, and to receive that appreciation and gratitude, and that like let them be seen for the incredible wisdom they have, the incredible service that they do to your body, for your body, and for you, for your heart, and for your spirit. All of this, even the nervous system and the images and the traumas and all of that stuff, and the wisdom of how to manage your systems that keep you alive and as healthy as you can be. All of that plays together to support your spirit and your body, your human experience on this planet. So give some love to your liver and to your gallbladder. Liver is a big filter, right? One of the body's big filters. And give some love to your pancreas. And I hope you're using your hands to really connect in with those parts and breathe into the space underneath your hands. And just let yourself connect. Feel your body. Connect, feel your body, breathe into it, invite your organs to receive the love, the appreciation. Let them be seen and acknowledged, loved and appreciated. And moving up into the stomach. The stomach is just under the diaphragm on mostly on your left side, but it actually takes up a little more space than what it shows in the pictures usually if you're looking at the pictures. But just let yourself kind of feel that space, your stomach. And here's the thing about the stomach. We are conditioned, and I think I'm speaking for more than just myself here. We're conditioned to eat until we feel full. But in reality, and this is one of the things that you might think about, what would it mean to eat only until you're no longer hungry, but not until you feel full? What would that feel like if you're a person that's on the, clean plate club and you tend to overfill your plate, which means you tend to overfill your stomach, right? In the studies that I've studied in terms of the holistic nutrition and prophetic medicine, it says to fill the stomach only 1/3 full, so that it is 1/3 for food, 1/3 for the juices, the gastric juices, and 1/3 for air, because your stomach actually has three different motions that it needs to be able to move, to churn, to like receive your food, to churn the food, to mix it with the gastric juices, and then to expel the food through the pyloric valve and into the small intestines. So your stomach's got a lot of work to do. And if we overfill it, not only do we get that feeling like, oh gosh, I'm so full, I can't breathe, and it constricts the breath, it constricts the movement of the diaphragm, but it constricts the ability of the stomach to process the foods we give it. And that's very, 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 very important step of our digestion. So send that love and appreciation to the stomach. And I'll invite you, if you're a clean plate club person or someone who likes to fill the stomach, I'll invite you to just play around with, what does it feel like to stop eating when I'm just not hungry anymore? And here's the trick about that. And this is moving on up the digestive tract, right? Up through the esophagus, right? The esophagus, it takes about 18 seconds for food, once you swallow it, to go through the esophagus and into the stomach. All of that has to be timed just right, right? So there's incredible wisdom going on there. There's the peristaltic action, there's the opening and closing of the different valves, there's the coordinating of the swallowing, and all of that wonderful stuff that your body does for you. So let's send some love and appreciation to this esophagus, into the throat, and now up into the jaw, up into the teeth and the tongue, right? Your senses, this is where you get to enjoy the foods. Your sense of smell, your sense of taste, your feel of the texture of the foods. This is your opportunity to really get that full experience that we love to have with our food, because we're meant to enjoy it. We're meant to have a sensual experience with our foods. And this is where that happens. Once we chew, 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 swallow, then we don't have that sensual experience anymore. So the more that we can chew our foods and give ourselves time, like breath between bites, to have the sensual experience, the visual and the olfactory, the smell, the sense of smell, to really like let that connection happen through the sensual experience between the bites, and then really take the time chewing and feeling the textures and enjoying your almost 10,000 taste buds there. They want this experience, right? So letting yourself have that will slow down your eating, and then letting that go all the way through your esophagus and land into your stomach, and giving yourself a little breath in between your bites. This gives your stomach more time, which it takes a little more time, to get that message to your brain that says, I'm not hungry anymore, you can stop now. And that helps us stop before the stomach gets overfilled and then can't churn the foods and act on the foods and break down the foods in the way that we need it to while it's there. So give that love and appreciation to the tongue, the teeth, that sensual, all of the sensual organs of your body that get to enjoy the process, and make a little promise to them, a little commitment to them, that you're going to like give them the gift that they're meant to receive through this experience that you're here to have with your food. Yes, you're here to have the sensual experience. You're here to enjoy. You're here to like really receive the goodness from it on the sensory level as well. And the more you spend the time on the sensory and you're really connecting, then the more you will have an easier time with the digestive, because it really gives your body time to give you the signals about when it's full. It gives you a more chewing, right? So you get a better coating of the foods with the enzymes. and the different things that break the different secretions that break the foods down so that your body can utilize it. So this time that it spends in your mouth and with your sensory organs is very important. So give that the love and appreciation. Make a little commitment that you're going to spend a little more time with your foods in the sensual experience. And I want to just share with you, since we're going backwards here, maybe that's appropriate. Just imagine now that you have something that you love, something from the earth that you love. And I'm going to give you a little, it's called the Food Body Spirit Prayer. And the prayer goes like this. It says, I give thanks for this food that comes from this sacred earth. So let yourself, again, turn all of your senses to this food, whether you're imagining it or whether you have something in front of you. And just turn your senses, turn your heart, turn your belly, so your whole being is present with this food. And the first thing is giving thanks. Give thanks for this food that comes from the sacred earth. And then, and you're welcome to use whatever language works for you and your beliefs. It says, please bless this food and make it holy. Make it like, raise the vibration of it, purify it, cleanse it to nourish my body, my mind, my heart, my spirit. And then receiving. I receive this food, and it's very important to energetically open your heart, open your body, open yourself to receive. Receive this food as a gift of nourishment for my body, of love for my heart, and of reverence for my spirit. I receive this food as a gift of nourishment for my body, love for my heart, and reverence for my spirit. Because you are an incredible spiritual being of light integrated into this physical form that is of the earth in order to have an experience that you can experience life through your senses, through your body, through your instincts, and evolve your soul. So this is the food body spirit connection, and I thank you. And if there's time, I'll open for any questions or comments or discussion. Yes, watch. Can you
Hey, can you
unmute?
hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hey, great presentation. Really appreciate the walkthrough and just quite enlightening. I was thinking about some of the people who just use intermittent fasting. Actually, I am using intermittent fasting.
Hmm.
And so when you're dividing your food into two meals, then the challenge which I faced, thank you for explaining about the different spaces and how to leave a lot of room actually for the food to digest. And if you're trying to maximize a calorie in one meal or on two meals, that's no doubt, then how do you balance that with leaving or filling or your stomach only a third full? Do you see my
Hmm.
dilemma over there? So
I
I
do.
really appreciate your insight. Thank
Yeah. And it may be a matter of slowing down. It may be a matter of just, a big proponent for just listening to the body, feeling the stomach being present. Um, I think that we have been entrained to believe that we need more than we do. But there is that, um, like, there is that, I guess, importance about being with what is. So, you know, is it possible for you to maybe just like slow it down a little bit and so that you're uh, just having that sense of am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Am I, not hungry? Am I full? Can I maybe spread it out a little more? Do I really need this? What do I need? Is there any, I think it's kind of about experimentation and seeing how your body might want to adjust or not. Um, I know, in um, there's been times where I've done the one meal a day and committed to not overfilling. And for my own experience, it was amazing how my body adjusted and actually had an incredible amount of energy from after having made that adjustment. And then I will say that getting back with my dad's schedule, I get out of whack again, and I'm kind of in that space of being a little out of whack myself, um, or off of my ideal of when I know I feel ideal. But I think it's just a matter of like trying it and feeling and connecting with your body. We had I think it was about 6 months ago, we had somebody from the Breatharian Society that came and talked to us about um, beyond veganism. And I absolutely loved that presentation that she did, but she really talked about just, being with like a particular breath and particular processes that really like tapped into that existence of compassion, God's compassion to just really be with like, what does your body really need? And what gives you the sustenance? What gives you the nourishment? So it's really, I think it's all over the place, and it kind of depends on where you're at and just learning to listen to yourself and be with what you need.
Thank you.
I hope that was helpful.
BJ, did you have a question or no?
I was just going to say thank you. It was lovely, and one of the things that I add in, and I haven't done it like you have so specifically to body parts, was I love you, I love you, I love you, my liver, I love you, and I'm sorry I've mistreated you, and forgive me and thank you. But so anyway, I really appreciated what you said today. Thank you.
Thank you, BJ. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. That was really enlightening. I am reminded of two things. One is Kimaya typically does not eat when she's not hungry. She'll tell you, I don't want any food now.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of taught me, to listen to your body, because that's what she does. She's doing. She's listening to her body.
Yeah.
And her body is telling her, no need to eat right now.
Yeah.
But when she's really hungry, she puts it away. So you can see she's not like she doesn't. Yeah. And the second observation I had in relation to that is when I'm cooking, especially when I'm cooking for giving away to people, I don't feel hungry at all. It's like there's something about the process of cooking that makes me, it fills me up. I don't really need it anymore.
Yeah. That's true. Actually, I hadn't thought about it that way, but always when I cook for other people, when it's time to eat, I'm like, I'm not hungry.
Right.
And I always wondered why. I never really thought of it in that way, but yeah. I mean, it's probably because of that flow of compassion, like I can't remember the woman's name that spoke, but I just absolutely loved her presentation that she did, from the breatharians.
Mm.
Because, I studied the prophetic medicine, and it is about listening to your body, only eating when you're hungry, only eating enough to be not hungry anymore, not overfilling, really taking the time and connecting and slowing down and being present. And, it helps us with that trauma healing too, and I probably, that study from years ago said 1 in 6 that had experienced more than 4 traumatic childhood experiences. And it's probably more than that, really. I think our human journey is designed to, to have traumas that separate us from ourselves. That's part of it. And then part of the learning experience is the return. One of the things that my teacher said is that our final frontier, and I took this to mean an individual thing and a collective thing, and I think that's just where we are right now. Our final frontier of the humanity is our struggle with food. And I think that that's true for the collective of the humanity and our survival on the planet, as well as our individual healing and returning to our connection with our sacred selves.
Yeah.
Thank you. Some nice comments in the chat too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, it does. It is. Yeah, it brings it all together.
Yeah.
The meditation that you did. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And there was something else I wanted to say, because like in a longer program, we can go through and give more of an appreciation for the digestive system as a whole and the individual parts, roles that they play, the different pieces play within the body. But it also ties into a larger system of that giving and receiving cycle, that we can just spiritually and energetically become constricted around, and it helps us to kind of open up that flow as well, because that is really, on a larger scale, it's mirrored on the smaller scale within the body, within the individual organs, within the way that we interact and relate with people and with life in general. So it's kind of bringing that piece into it, as well as that flow of just the openness, the receiving, that taking and receiving and allowing and letting go and giving and, just being with that whole process. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, I'm inspired to teach again. I haven't for a while, but
Well, I'm glad.
yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for
you have
giving me this opportunity today. And thank you all for being here.